Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Friday, November 19th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. We're talking Sporting Kansas City, and the playoff quest begins on Saturday at 4 p.m. Children's Mercy Park against the Vancouver Whitecaps. I told our soccer writer Shaun Goodwin I'm a bit concerned about this game. Vancouver's a hot team with a terrific goalkeeper. Shaun reminded me that Sporting has been a great team all season with an excellent goalkeeper of its own. We break down the matchup and give our predictions at the end. Let's get started. Shaun Goodwin covers soccer for the Kansas City Star, and it is a big weekend for Sporting Kansas City as they open play in the MLS Playoffs. And Shaun, I'm a little worried about this one. I look at the Vancouver Whitecaps as a team that beat Sporting Kansas City the last time they played, and their goalkeeper is pretty darn good.
Maxime Crepeau, he is. He's currently top of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying group as well with Canada. So I'm sure many people listening to this would like to hear that. But before we get into Sporting in Vancouver, it's fun to see such a competitive fight at the top between Canada, the US, and Mexico, who's kind of loosening a grip on CONCACAF qualifying in the last year or two. So, congrats to Canada for 8 games in, and Maxime Crepeau, who's goalkeeper for Vancouver.
Was he in goal against Mexico this week?
I assume so. I was watching the St. Louis Blues last night. So I didn't see, but I can tell you right now, he was not.
While you're looking at that, it was 16 degrees in Edmonton when that game kicked off, which is why that game was played at night. Canada made sure it could be as uncomfortable as possible for the visitors.
Yes, and to answer your question, it was actually Milan Borjan, who plays for Red Star Belgrade out in Bulgaria.
Right.
So,
still a formidable challenge for Sporting Kansas City, the number 3 seed in the playoffs versus the number 6. And I know we talked about it last time, Shaun, but the Sporting Kansas City missed an opportunity to be in a better position in the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. Obviously it all revolves around losing the last 3 games, the whole penalty incident at the end of the final game of the season with Salloi. I remember joking, it must have been 5 or 6 weeks ago at this point. Sporting at the time looked like it was going to Seattle for the 1 seed. Vancouver was surging, but I don't think Vancouver was even in a playoff spot. Yeah. And I half joked, I was like, man, Kansas City is going to somehow mess up and end up playing Vancouver in the first round because, a lot of the times it's the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds who, they should have the advantage, be the better team. And on paper, I think Sporting are the better team, but Vancouver is one of those rare teams right now where no matter the season, they had a terrible start, they're red hot, and you don't want to bet against a streak, right?
That's the biggest rule.
Yeah. So it's a dangerous game for Sporting KC. And I was laughing to myself. I'm going to be on the Vancouver Whitecaps radio broadcast before the game, just for 5-10 minutes. And I'm sure, they get a lot of people come on from other teams and, they're respectful to Vancouver, but at the same time, they're probably talking a bit more about their own team and how their own team that they cover has a good chance. But honestly, going into that, little 5 to 10 minute segment, of course, Sporting KC is at home and has all the chance to win. But I'm going to be straight up and say, there's a lot of people in this city who are worrying about Vancouver and just how hot they are right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And listen, I'm a believer that every team is different year to year, right? Makeup is different. Everything about chemistry is different. And yet I can't help but think about the early exits of Sporting in the last year and as the number 1 seed, right? in the West. And
Yeah,
is there a
I
ghost
guess.
here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're saying that, Blair, and it's certainly true. I mean, it was what we've had last year's semi-final exit. He didn't qualify the year before, and 2018 was obviously the conference final. And then, yeah, prior to that, it was, I believe, looking back, it was 4 straight first round exits. I'll look it up as I'm chatting, but again, um, when you have that many first round exits in a row, of course, it kind of sticks with the team and sticks with the management, right? So, it's certainly, 4 straight from 2014 to 2017.
Right, they win
So,
they win the round in 2018, but then lose the real heartbreaker that year to Portland, right? In the final, that's the game where Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs showed up, and the place was incredibly, just on fire, and they had a 2-1 lead. I remember, and ended up losing that game 3-2. So it is. There are some ghosts out there, and but this team, look, this team is, except for maybe a little bit of slumping at the end of the season. The Royals did that in 2015. Come on, there are reasons to feel good about this sporting team, and a couple of players that you wrote about this week are reasons to feel that way. Let's start with Fontas. We haven't talked much about him this year, and that's my fault for not bringing it up. But you've got a nice story about him that's posted on kansascity.com that we'll link in the show notes. But let's talk about his season, Shaun. What has he brought to sporting?
Yeah, Fontas, he hasn't been talked about enough, and that's just not us, that's everyone. It's, media as a whole. And he's had, in my opinion, for a centre-back, one of the best seasons in my recent memory for a ball-playing centre-back. Just because, not only has he played, 33 or 34 games this year, Sporting conceded 40 goals, which was 8th best in the league. So, top 10. But even outside of those defensive stats, Fontas, he led the league, and not only led the league, but set MLS records for touches, passes, and successful passes. That's across all positions. And amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, especially for a centre-back, right? Obviously, some of those like passes and whatnot, maybe as centre-back because they're playing for the fields, but you're expecting more of the midfield players, whether it's the 6 or the 10 or even, the 8 even, I guess. The guys with the ball at their feet and playing in your pairs, those are the guys you expect to pick up more of the touches and the passes and whatnot. Well, now it's Fontas, and it's a credit to, how he was brought up, and I touched about that in the story too. Obviously, this is a guy who, born in Catalonia, grew up watching Spain, idolizing Barcelona, and idolizing those Barcelona teams. And eventually, he's in the same class out of Barcelona's academy with Messi and Iniesta and Xavi and, all these great players. So, he's brought that play style to Kansas City. Had a couple of tough years of injury, and now he's finally past the injury, and he looks right back to his best self, which is honestly a player who should have been in Defender of the Year conversations and a finalist and in the MLS Team of the Year, and he's got none of that. He didn't even get Comeback Player of the Year. Or he's not even a finalist for that. Daniel is, which we can talk about that as well if you want. But
yeah, we will, absolutely.
Great year for Fontas, but maybe not the recognition that he deserves, but I think the fans recognise it. Peter recognises it. The players realise it. So at least can go here.
Well, when I hear another guest has joined the show.
He wants to leave. So you speak some words, Blair, and then I'll let him out.
What's his name?
Bandit.
You'll have to repeat that because you froze when you said that as you moved away. So, while Shaun is disposing. That's probably too harsh a word. Relocating.
Not disposing. I just opened the door for him and he ran away back into my room, so I don't really know what he wants.
All right, so what's his name again? Because you froze when you left.
Bandit.
Bandit. All right, Bandit. But at least your cat has a name. Mine is a nameless cat.
A nameless cat?
Yeah.
How long have you had this cat for?
Oh, only 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, so we're still thinking about it.
It's okay. Sometimes I just call my girlfriends girlfriend. I'm like, hello, girlfriend. So I get it.
Right, we work in the generic here. Okay, so yeah, look, there is an MVP for the MLS Finals. Maybe Fontas can rise up and win that. But again, Daniel Salloi is a finalist for MVP. How many finalists are there? How many were identified?
For MVP, it's 5. Every other award is 3, but for MVP, it's 5.
Okay. And any other sporting players up for any of the other individual awards?
Yeah, Daniel Salloi is up for Comeback Player of the Year, which I know when we chatted back in early October, and he says it a few times, and I agree with him. Comeback player should be for a player coming back from injury or any other sort of personal, basically not for a player who just had a bad season or two. So New England's Carlos Gil, he was out for 16 games last year with an Achilles injury. He's up for comeback, fair enough. And then Chicharito, Javier Hernandez, he just had a bad year last year. Obviously, Daniel didn't play much last year, and both of those guys are up for comeback. And when you see guys like Fontas, who's had such an incredible season coming off such a serious injury, I don't know how they're not in the conversation for Comeback Player of the Year.
Well, I'll say this: I disagree with Daniel. I think Comeback Player of the Year it could be for someone who missed most of the previous season with an injury, but I also think it absolutely can be awarded to someone who had a down season, made adjustments, made some changes, and came back in a big way. So I think Daniel's wrong. I hope he wins the award. I think he has a better chance at that than MVP. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I think you're not wrong about that, especially, if I think the MVP favourite is New England's Carlos Gil. So if he gets that, then I think Daniel should at least get comeback over Chicharito, because he had a fine season out with LAFC, or LA Galaxy, but nothing overly special. So, maybe Daniel could walk away with at least Comeback Player of the Year. Whether he's proud of it or not remains to be seen, but
another player that you wrote about this week, and I'm glad that you did, the elder statesman of this team, Graham Zusi, is having another somewhat under the radar terrific season. Everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
And has had a wonderful career. It's just, I so admire players who are at the stage of the career that Zusi is, still able to turn it on game after game, and it is his great play has not gone unnoticed by Sporting.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. Well, even gone unnoticed by Sporting. I mean, obviously he's played so many games, and I think he's even flew under the radar of some Sporting fans, to be honest. I think as the season has gone along, more people have realised, but especially earlier in the season, I can recall him catching some flack for his defensive side of the game, which, even I'll admit that his defensive side of the game leaves a little bit to be desired. As a 34-year-old wing back, he's coming off a serious injury. He's lost some speed, lost some reaction time. And he has been caught with players behind him occasionally. But at the end of the day, this is a piece of elite Sporting KC team who attack. He wants his wing-backs to attack, get the ball in advanced positions and get it into dangerous positions. And who better than Graham Zusi, honestly? I mean, he's leading a league. Well, he's leading outside backs in so many categories for, forward passes in the middle third, from his own third, a cross-field ball, switching the ball across the field. He's been so solid defensively. It's probably been his best year since 2018, when obviously he was an all-star. And yeah, he has gone under the radar again. Extra time, which, is a pretty big Twitter accounts, I guess, and they do other media stuff. And I saw those guys did like a MLS first team, second team, third team, and fourth team because they just couldn't they couldn't stop at one or two, and they finally got Graham on the fourth team, which says everything. Like I said, his defensive work as a defender maybe left to be desired a little bit, but for what he's done offensively, I think he deserves to at least be second or third team this year.
Okay, Shaun, let's take a break here, and when we come back, I've got a couple of topics I wanted to talk to you about. Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Stars award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. All right, we're back with Shaun Goodwin talking soccer. Big game for Sporting Kansas City on Saturday against the Vancouver Whitecaps in the MLS playoffs. They're in the it's a 3-6 game. Who's in the 2-7 game? Who would the winner play?
That would be Seattle and Real Salt Lake.
Okay, all right. So funny, they handled Seattle last time they played, lost to Real Salt Lake in Vancouver.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, if Sporting KC do win, they'll either head on the road to Seattle, where they've won twice this year, or they'll host Real Salt Lake, who they just lost to at home. So it's if you want to be at home against the team you just lost to, or on the road to a team you beat twice, it's an interesting one.
And if Sporting Kansas City is going to win Saturday or any of these games, Tim Melia is going to need to come up big, and he has all season. So you don't win as many games, have as successful a season as Sporting has had without the play of goalkeeper Tim Melia. I really enjoyed it. I saw the tweet that you had, Shaun, that you had retweeted from someone else that ranked the goalkeepers. Melia came out pretty good in this ranking.
Yes, it was players or goalkeepers who outperformed the expected goals against, which is a interesting stat, which soccer only introduced, I'd say, two to 3 years ago. They just kind of popped up. And now they use these analytics for expected goals against, expected assists, blah, blah, blah. And they're taking to all sorts, for a goalkeeper, how difficult it's to save, where's the shot come from, the angle, who, so on and so forth. So, essentially what they did was for all the MLS goalkeepers, they took their expected goals against, how many goals they actually conceded, and then figured out the difference. So number one was Vancouver's goalkeeper, Crepeau. He was 44 expected goals against, only conceded 31. And then right behind him was Tim Melia, who he was expected to have 46.44 goals against, which interestingly more than what Crepeau faced. And Tim Melia conceded 33. So, when you look at these expected goals against differences, Crepeau's difference from what was expected to what he did. Crepeau was 13.85 and Melia's 13.44, which is very small. And when you consider the drop-off, which the next closest was William Yarbrough for Colorado, who was my goalkeeper of the year pick. His expected goals against difference was 9.26. So you're talking about a 0.4 difference between the top two and a whole 4.22 difference between 2 and 3. Far and away, it's you can argue what makes a good goalkeeper, what doesn't make a good goalkeeper, and who deserves to win awards. But looking at a specific stat of what Tim Melia has faced, he saves Sporting KC's Pigs on a couple of occasions this season.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. All right, what's the status of Alan Pulido?
He was looking good at practice when I was out there yesterday. And, it's piece of a miss. He always at least remains tight-lipped on his actual lineups. But what it seems to be right now is we might be in store for one of the few occasions that we see Pulido, Salloi, and Russell on the front line altogether.
Wow.
Yeah, which, also Gaddy Kinder obviously came into the playoffs a little bit of a knock, but he was practicing. If you can get Gaddy Kinder behind him as well, that's a hell of a top four, right? And all season, I remember writing. I always do my top 10 predictions for Sporting KC season at the start of the year, and I pretty much said if Alan Pulido doesn't suffer from injuries like he did last year, he did. He could be a Golden Boot contender. Obviously, Sporting found a new one with Daniel. But yeah, no, that's how highly I think of Pulido. It's just, again, it's injuries. So he should be, I will be massively surprised if he doesn't at the very least get some minutes. But I think he might be in line to start finally.
Well, I'd love to see him on the field. I think he is just one of those very special players, sees the game in ways other players don't see the game. He's super intelligent and fun to watch, and sporting. In fact, his availability and his minutes would influence the way I think about this game. And before I get your thought on this game and how you think it's going to play out, let's spend a minute on the KC Current. There's some little bit of news, a little bit of publicity news coming from them.
Yeah,
tell us about that.
Yeah, so by the time this publishes, it would have happened. So hopefully you would have seen it on Twitter and whatnot. But on Friday afternoon, 3 p.m., they unveiled, or the KC Streetcar unveiled a new wrap for the Kansas City Current. So we around any major events, obviously we got the World Cup on recently, and I've seen Sporting KC ones in the past in Royals and whatnot. And yeah, so Kansas City Current is getting a streetcar wrap. Can't tell you what it looks like right now, because as we record, it's Wednesday. There'll
be plenty of teal as part of it, I'm sure.
Plenty of teal, plenty of wave passings, or current passings, I should say.
Yeah.
So it should look really nice, and I'll be out there on Friday, covering all of that jazz and taking pictures and whatnot. So by the time this podcast releases, if you're not seeing it, head to my Twitter, and it'll be all over there.
There we go. And one other, just a little piece of house cleaning news before we get your thoughts on the game, specific thoughts. I read this because of the dates of the World Cup in 2022. The MLS season will this time next year will have been over by about a month. They're going to start early and end early next year.
Yeah, we're starting on February 22nd. And then, we're finishing early. I'm pulling up the exact dates now. The MLS Cup will be November 5th.
November 5th. Okay.
So, decision day, October 9th, which, obviously we just had decision day, a week and a half ago. And MLS Cup November 5th, and then off we go straight into the World Cup. So, interesting. I mean, I'm not complaining about the early start dates. Gets me back to work earlier.
That's right. But a shorter off season for the players, and I don't know how they feel about that, but I'm sure they won't mind the short off season if they've got some hardware to hold up on the final day.
Exactly. And it balances out to have a longer off season next year, presumably, unless they're playing in the World Cup, of course.
They better be playing in the World Cup.
US players, but just the league. Yeah. So, in fact, I'd love to see. I would really like to see the Canada, Mexico, and the US in the World Cup. So, all right,
Shaun, let's get it. Break it down for us, and I'll give you what I think the score will be. But I want to hear. I want to hear your breakdown of what we can expect on Saturday.
Man, yeah, you want an actual scoreline?
Yep, I do.
Oh lordy! All right, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 2-2 in 90 minutes, and then Sporting KC will grab an extra time winner, being at home. So 3-2 final, and it's gonna be Russell, Johnny Russell. He's obviously been on fire. He's a captain. He'll grab one in extra time, I think. But yeah, as for predictions as a whole for the game, it's gonna be a tough game. You know, Vancouver's got some good players. You've got a newcomer of the year in Ryan Gould. Then obviously you've got other great guys on the field. I mean, Brian White has impressed a bunch so far this season. And you've got Dahome, who's been in this league for a long time. So dangerous team. Rani Sartini's got them flying. I think we'll grab a couple of goals, but Sporting will just pull through.
I'm going 1-1 through extra time and Sporting and in the penalty kick. So what's the penalty kick lineup for Sporting? What might that be?
I'm not allowed to say.
Because you, how about taking a guess?
I'll take a guess in that. I think it's pretty clear that your regular guys of Johnny Russell, Daniel Salloi,
right? They have to go 1-2. I would think Polito, if he's on the field, would be there too.
Whether that's I don't know what order they go. Obviously, sometimes you want your clutch player to be number 5 in case it comes down to number 5. So
right,
maybe Johnny goes 5. I don't know if you want to save him at least. Maybe it's Polito 5. I don't know, but yeah, I think those are your main 3. And outside of that, I mean, I guess we haven't really got to see many Sporting KC other penalties recently.
That's why I asked. There haven't been many of these.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw him in practice and penalties at practice, but I was, I tweeted a little something else and got a slap on the wrist from the Sporting KC PR guy to do that. So I'll keep tight-lipped, but I think it's a safe assumption to say those top 3 guys, if they're on the field, they should be taking penalties.
Well, for sure. And listen, you don't have to tell us what you saw. I know what you think, and you just delivered that. So I appreciate it. To me, I think you put your big guns up at the top and try to win it early. But that's just me.
Yeah, especially with Melia in goal, you can usually trust him to save 1 or 2.
For
so
sure.
That's part of the strategy that a lot of teams don't go through, right? Most goalkeepers are just average, but if you've got Tim Melia, you don't want to be saving your best one till last, maybe, because you just want to win straight up in 3 or 4 penalties. So, yeah. You make a good point.
I am looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to your coverage, Shaun, and thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Always happy to, Blair.
That will do it for today and this week on SportsBeat KC. Thanks to our production staff of Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Pickett. Tip of the cap to Shaun Goodwin for stopping by and talking Sporting Kansas City. Links to his stories can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, let's talk about the morning sports edition. If you're not seeing it, you're really missing out. On kansascity.com, go to the Stars e-edition. That's a replica of the printed newspaper on your screen that comes with your digital subscription. Well, now there's an updated sports section produced separately that goes along with it. When you open the e-edition, there's a box in the upper right-hand corner that says All Editions. Click on that and you can access anywhere from 15 to 50 pages of sports. You can also get it through an email. I do, and the link is there by about 6 a.m. every morning. However you get it, you know what I'm talking about. It is complete coverage of the previous day's sports, news, features, statistics, everything. It's fantastic. Hey, thanks for reading the Star and listening to our podcast lineup. You are helping support the best sports coverage in Kansas City, and we couldn't produce programs like SportsBeat KC without you. We'll be back on Monday with another episode breaking down the Chiefs game on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys.